Okay.
letting us in.
The
We're ready.
senator.
We need a senator. Where's our senator? Wouldn't be complete without a budget chair that got us the money. It's coming. Well, we'll start.
You want me to start?
Yeah, because she's not up.
All right.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. My name is Gustavo Velasquez. I am the director of the State of California Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD. It is a pleasure to be here in Oakland for this important announcement. I'll make brief remarks, introduce our guests, and say also a few remarks in Spanish. Of course, we have Governor Gavin Newsom with us. Thank you, Governor. We have our new Secretary of the Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency, Secretary Tamika Moss, who was just sworn in a couple of days ago. Thank you for being here, Secretary, in her first public event, and it's coincidental that we are gathered here on an issue that she's very passionate about. Also, we have Senator Skinner. Thank you for your support of HCD programs. Our local partners, we have the City of Oakland, Deputy Mayor Dr. Kimberly Mayfield. Mayor couldn't be with us this morning, and County Supervisor Nate Miley, and of course CHS and all of the other partners associated with this important project. The Newsom administration wholeheartedly believes that homelessness ought to be rare, one-time, and non-recurrent. It's a number one priority for us at the State Housing Department. And we know homelessness is a very complex issue. This phenomenon has many upstream causes. The most common, the lack of housing. And there's no single silver bullet that will make the program completely eliminated. But on occasions, including the occasion that makes us gather here today, there are partnerships with the state, localities, nonprofit providers, and downstream interventions that contribute very much so to ameliorate this crisis. One of those proven interventions, not just here in the city of Oakland, in the state of California, but nationwide, is Homekey. This program purchased its first hotel back at the height of the pandemic, July of 2020, and we're here 3.5 years later, 250 projects like this. Of course, it's not just motels and hotels now, a wider variety of assets, 15,300 permanent and interim supportive housing. It's about the units, but also all of the supportive housing, the support systems around these households that will make them thrive and get out of the cycle of homelessness. This announcement today, $100 million for the city of Oakland, city of Fresno, city and county of Los Angeles, San Diego, and Yuba City contribute to the success of this program. And let's keep in mind, these units remain affordable for the purpose of serving homeless persons for 55 years. So it's not just the 15,000 units created, but it's also the escalating effect of moving multiple households over the lifetime for each unit of the 55 years. So we're estimating this program will serve 167,000 people over its lifetime. And as we have talked before about cost, a fraction of what it typically costs to create a unit of permanent supportive housing. And one last thing I would say, transitional age youth. With this project, we are surpassing 900 units exclusively served for young people. And that's very, very important, 6% of the Homekey portfolio for youth experiencing housing instability and homelessness. I think that is very, very important in this announcement. Just say a few words in Spanish, unas palabras en español. Estamos el día de hoy anunciando bajo el exitoso programa Homekey 6 ciudades que abrirán más de 400 nuevas casas bajo Homekey, incluyendo aquí en la ciudad de Oakland. Este programa hasta hoy ha financiado la creación de más de 15,000 casas que servirán durante más de 5 décadas a 167,000 personas que enfrentan el grave problema de la indigencia y el desamparo. Estamos muy agradecidos con todas las ciudades y las organizaciones que han aplicado y que han recibido este subsidio, porque gracias a estas iniciativas como Homekey estamos haciendo una diferencia significativa en proveer vivienda que es una de las prioridades más importantes del gobernador Newsom. Thank you very much for all for being here, and now it's my pleasure to introduce Oakland Deputy Mayor Dr. Mayfield.
Thank you, Director Velasquez. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the site of what will soon become a symbol of hope for our community. Mayor Tao sends her apologies as her mother passed away earlier this week. I am Deputy Mayor Kimberly Mayfield, and it's an honor to be here with you. I want to begin by expressing our heartfelt gratitude to Governor Gavin Newsom and his administration for their unwavering support in addressing the critical issue of homelessness here in Oakland. I also want to thank our esteemed State Senator Nancy Skinner and Assembly Member Mia Bonta for their work in ensuring Oakland has the state resources it needs to tackle homelessness, and our Supervisor Nate Miley for being a strong county partner. Today we had the opportunity to tour our newest Homekey purchase alongside the governor's office and these great public leaders. This site, which is a former Quality Inn right here in District 7, will be rehabilitated into housing for people living on our streets, thanks to a $20 million grant from the state of California through their Homekey program. This achievement is a testament to the collaborative spirit and commitment of our city's leadership, the hard work of our amazing staff in our housing and community development, and a strong relationship between Mayor Shane Tao and Governor Gavin Newsom. This 104-unit motel will undergo a transformation. Once completed, 77 units will be dedicated to residents experiencing homelessness, and 26 units will provide transitional support for our youth, ensuring they have a stable foundation for their future. These units will not only offer a safe and secure space, but will also include essential amenities, a bedroom, a bathroom, and a kitchenette. Importantly, they will be accessible to individuals and families at or below 30% of the area median income, ensuring inclusivity and affordability for all. This project is not just a standalone effort. It aligns with our city's comprehensive strategy to address homelessness by creatively leveraging city dollars to maximize state and federal investments. With this latest Homekey award, Oakland has now secured over $95 million in state Homekey funds since 2020, resulting in a total of 427 deeply affordable, permanent, supportive housing units across 8 Homekey projects. These other projects include the Clifton Hill Inn at Temescal, Project Reclamation, Piedmont Place, Inn by the Coliseum, Kingdom Builders Transitional Housing, and Imperial Inn. This award is part of our ongoing collaboration with the state of California. I want to acknowledge an additional awards received within the past 12 months, including a $40.7 million IIGC award, a $2.39 million grant from the state's Pro Housing Incentive Pilot Program, and a $10 million Regional Early Action Planning Grant. The state's continued support is instrumental in propelling our efforts forward. Homelessness and housing affordability are not just policy points for us, they are top priorities for Oakland residents. To tackle these challenges, the city is executing a multi-pronged approach through our housing and community development's 3P framework: protect Oaklanders from displacement, preserve the existing affordable housing stock, and produce new, deeply affordable housing units. In closing, I want to extend our deepest appreciation again to Governor Newsom for his ongoing support. Today marks another step forward in our collective journey to address homelessness and housing affordability in Oakland. As we stand here on the grounds of the Future Quality Inn project, let us remember that every brick laid, every unit created is a testament to the positive change we can achieve when we work together. And now it is my pleasure to invite to the mic Alameda County Supervisor Nate Miley.
So good morning, everyone. This is my district, my supervisorial district. I'm also the president of the Board of Supervisors, and it's a real pleasure to be here with the governor and the council person for the district, Treva Reed, and other distinguished guests. I just want to say, this project is important, but it's part of a complex. The county, through Homekey, with the governor's support, we purchased 2 hotels out here, the Comfort Inn and the Days Inn. That was about a $28 million of Homekey funding that we received back in 2020. It's providing housing, but we are developing both of those into permanent supportive housing. We're changing the name of the Days Inn to Oak Day. It's a $35 million development effort. It will provide over 100 units of permanent supportive housing. We'll be doing the same thing with the Comfort Inn. 5 Keys will be operating Oak Day, and Allied Housing will be operating the Comfort Inn. So my big concern, and I've made this clear to the county staff, and I know working with the council person will ensure that this happens, we want this to uplift the quality of life out here. We don't want this to become a burden on the community by concentrating all of these services out here, which are definitely needed. It's important, and I really appreciate the governor and the state for recognizing the fact that we can take these underutilized properties, these hotels, and convert them into housing, because that's extremely important. We have found through the county's $2.5 billion Home Together plan, we are producing permanent supportive housing with wraparound services, but more people are becoming unsheltered than we're able to house. So the more housing we can provide, the more resources we have to provide services, the better. The Board of Supervisors, under my leadership last year, passed a homeless emergency. We're coming up with additional strategies to try to get a better handle on the homeless problem. In addition, I know I was mentioning to the governor last time I was with him, we were out here, and I believe the trailers that are across the way there, they've provided housing for folks. That was another successful project, and I was here with the governor and former mayor, Libby Schaff. Finally, I would just like to say, often you find illegal dumping at these homeless encampments. The illegal dumping is not always produced by the homeless. People with good intentions provide things for the homeless. Also, the homeless don't have garbage pickup like the rest of us. So I know through my statewide illegal dumping task force, we've had 3 conferences. We're having our 4th one. we've tried to look at how we can address the problem of illegal dumping. And this is just one aspect of illegal dumping. I'm really hoping I can get the governor to come and speak at the conference this May. So thank you so very much, Governor Newsom.
Well done. Well done.
I'd like to introduce Senator Nancy Skinner.
Thank you, Supervisor Miley, and our other great guests, our Deputy Mayor, Councilmember Reed, and of course the governor, but I'll get into that in a minute. I'm State Senator Nancy Skinner. I represent this area, and I just want to say it very clearly that the investments the state of California has made under the leadership of Governor Newsom have made a difference in our homelessness and housing crisis. Now, yes, we still see unhoused people. And very unfortunately, there has been a housing supply crisis in California for decades. You can't get yourself out of it overnight. And with our aging population, and this is a tragedy, that we have many of our elders, many of our seniors, at the point in their lives where they did not own a home, so they don't have that equity, they don't have a pension, they're not in, that Social Security does not give you that much money. And with the cost of housing in various parts of California, but especially the Bay Area, they cannot afford to keep a roof over their head. And so what we're seeing is the growing number of our unhoused people are our seniors. So when we see perhaps more homeless, or we don't see what our perception is as a dent in it, it's not because these incredible investments haven't worked. They have worked. You have already heard from the Deputy Mayor about the number of projects that the Newsom administration has funded in Oakland and the number of units under Project Homekey that are operative right now. And then you just heard from our county supervisor. Well, let me just tell you, in my district as a whole and in the East Bay, we have over 1,000 Homekey units. We have over 1,000, and that's more than 1,000 people because many of those units house more than one. And so those people are no longer unhoused. They have security. They have permanent affordability. And even if it's transitional, there are support services to help them to get onto the permanent. And this is making a huge, huge difference. And I just wanted to be loud and clear about that. And the program works. It works. I think it was important for me to point out that issue about our seniors because a lot of people don't realize that. And they're not always the folks that we see in an encampment. And of course, sadly, encampments are not, we have unhoused people that are not in encampments, that are either couch surfing or living in a vehicle or what have you. But this project works. These investments are making a difference. And I give all kudos to Governor Newsom and the administration, and of course to the legislature for adopting the budget. I was the budget chair, but also to our recipients, whether it's the county or the city or different in some cases. Some of the actual service providers receive the money from the continuum of cares. We've provided the funds in different ways. So many of these projects throughout this East Bay, whether Richmond, Berkeley, Emeryville, Oakland, what have you, are San Leandro, are being the funding went directly to the service provider or to the city or to the county. And that's where we are making this real difference. So let me now, and it is my great pleasure to do so, introduce our new Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency Secretary, someone who should be known to you all because of her incredible, her roots here in the East Bay, her work in the Bay Area on housing, and that is Tomika Moss, who was just sworn in on Valentine's Day. Tomika.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for joining us. You've heard about the value of this program from the previous speakers,
My name is Tamika Moss, and I am the governor's new secretary for BCSH, which oversees our state and housing work. And it is my great pleasure as an Oaklander, as someone who has spent more than 2 decades, don't let the shiny skin fool you, working on behalf of our most marginalized residents. This is a moment to celebrate. Homekey saves lives. This is not about dollars and cents and units. This is about providing urgent, responsive services and housing to the people that need it most. And that's what this program does. At the start of this program, our unhoused neighbors were facing imminent risk because of the global pandemic. And this program provided much needed support to bring folks indoors quickly and urgently. We can't talk about a crisis if we are not acting urgently and responsive to the people who need our support the most. And that's what this administration is doing. And as the program has evolved, we've been able to provide permanent housing for thousands of unhoused residents across the state of California. That didn't happen by accident. That happened by having a leader who is dedicated not only to every Californian in the state, but especially to those who are our most vulnerable brothers and sisters experiencing our homelessness and housing insecurity challenges every single day. And it is my great honor to introduce the man who is demanding real-time, urgent solutions that is meeting the moment, not just in this project. You have heard about all of the amazing work that is happening statewide. More than 168,000 folks have been served by this program, and we must do more. And that's what my new boss is planning to do. It is my great honor to introduce Governor Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thank you, the Senator and Mr. President, to Council Member and Deputy Mayor, and to all of the distinguished guests, everybody that's here. Thank you for the privilege and opportunity to update you on where we have been, where we're going as it relates to the Homekey and Homekey model. And I say Homekey with some intention. 2 driving forces in life: inspiration, desperation. Inspired, certainly the beginning of my term to address the issue of homelessness and housing with some renewed vigor and energy, immediately was confronted with the crisis of a pandemic. And out of desperation, we came up with a different model, a different paradigm, a different way of thinking. Using the crisis mindset, we were able to advance a program called Project Homekey that started quite literally right here, right behind you in the motel you see. It was the first one of what became thousands and thousands of units that we master leased during the depths of the pandemic to get people off the streets, particularly those that are cohorted during the early time of the pandemic, in encampments and the like, and to maintain some stability. That program became a national model in and of itself, but what it initiated was a different mindset of thinking that if we can lease these units, why can't we just buy these units? And Homekey made way for the Homekey model. Working with Chair of the Budget Committee, Senator Skinner, and others, we advanced a $3.5 billion commitment. And in just 3.5 years, we now have purchased over 15,000 new permanent hotel and motel rooms and have advanced investments to convert other office spaces and new modular construction. A little bit more on that in a moment. Today we're announcing, as was noted, a $99 million additional investment. There's still additional resources left. To be precise, $138 million left of the $3.5 billion, after the $99 million is distributed today in 6 counties in the state of California, including here in Alameda County, all the way down San Diego, LA, Fresno, and as was referenced, Yuba City. Those projects, those 6 additional projects, will get this portfolio a little closer to 15,500 permanent units here in the state. The program you see behind me, this will be up and operational within 12 months. There's the guy responsible. I'm stress testing the 12 months. This is a 104-unit motel. It's not what we're announcing today, however. what we're announcing today is off-site downtown Oakland, an additional 41-unit project, $14.3 million. What's interesting about this, and it goes to supervisors' point and I think more broadly our generic broad concern, and that is it's not just a capital investment. We need to seed some of the operational supports so we provide a sense of community and place and continuity and confidence for neighbors that this is an added value. This is not a burden for the community. So that project we're announcing today here in Oakland is 14.3, not just 12.3. That's the capital. The $2 million is for ongoing operating investments to help support the whole person model, to support the issues that underlie why these units are needed in the first place. So that's the advancement, that's the announcement here today. Now you say, well, you only got $138 million left. You know, it's nice you've been able to get 71 or so thousand people off the streets, but it's not good enough. I drive around, I see what I see, everybody's angry about it, I understand. And that's why it's absolutely critical that people support Proposition 1. Because Proposition 1, it's on the ballot in just a matter of weeks, provides an additional $2 billion specifically to continue the success of this program, to continue the streamlining reforms that are part of this program that allow us to site buildings like this in real time, to continue to do more, yes, with less, $203,000 per key. That's the cost of the state's investment in this program. So we're fast tracking the time to delivery. We're taking existing properties, converting them, and we're doing it at a cost the likes of which we've never been able to advance in our state's history. So we want to replicate success. We want to move away from the areas where we're falling short. And so what Proposition 1 does, it provides minimum $2 billion. And I say minimum because it also seeds $1 billion ongoing each and every year for housing at all types of all stripes in the reform of the Mental Health Services Act. I won't go into too much detail, but all I can say is a no-brainer to support Proposition 1 if you care about the issue of homelessness, housing, and mental health. And I don't know which order that is, but I would imagine that's in your top 3 in terms of your issues, my issues, our issues in the state of California. The most significant opportunity to put a dent at the scale and scope that is needed of this crisis, Proposition 1, on the March ballot, and to do it without replicating failure, instead replicating success and not having to start something up, but to keep the directional momentum so we're moving with speed, scale, and the scope that this crisis deserves. So I'm really proud of this. I'm proud of the partnerships, and that's the final point I'll make. This is all about partnerships. It's about leveraging private sector dollars, private dollars here that would never have materialized, that came from philanthropy. Public money from the city, public monies from the counties, all of this packaged together with a different sense of intentionality and focus that is needed at this moment. Let me just close on this. I was once again down the road cleaning up some, old encampment site. That's why I'm dressed so well, so gubernatorially, that's a word, because I said I'd keep coming back as it relates to trying to address these vexing issues. We put $1.1 billion to clean California. Nancy Skinner knows this well. The most the state ever invested was $90 million to clean the streets, sidewalks, entrances and exits, and underpasses in the state. $1.1 billion to beautify. You've seen that on the freeway. You'll see some of the old encampments, and you'll see some new fencing we put up, some new trees, some beautification efforts. I want folks to know out here, we weren't one and done when we announced 120 CHP officers, and nor were we naive that somehow is just a strategy for community revitalization. That's a short-term strategy to address the crisis at hand, and that's the crisis of confidence as it relates to crime on the streets and sidewalks. But we need to be here for the medium and long term, and that's to address these underlying issues and to make long-term investments. That's what Homekey is about. Unprecedented long-term investments to address these systemic issues. Ongoing money that you will be a big beneficiary of if Proposition 1 passes in particular. And investments that we have committed as a state to flood the zone in terms of cleaning and greening parts of Oakland and other parts of the East Bay, more broadly defined. We still have 72 CHP officers, so that's the new baseline. We'll still be doing unannounced surges. Mark my word, I've already worked on the dates and times, but we're not going to make that public till after the fact. You saw the fruits of this first effort, and with respect, I don't have a lot of respect for someone that smashes and grabs, runs into a store, I don't care if it's Apple or neighborhood store, and takes 50 plus cell phones. By the way, that guy in Emeryville was arrested by the CHP operation. Needs to be held to account. I just, it's wrong. It's violent. People are scared. And so I want to address those issues as we address these underlying issues at the same time. So Oakland, please, mark my words, understand this. I'm coming back again next week. There'll be more announcements. I will come back the week after with still more announcements. I am not going away. This is not a passing interest to me. This is a long-term commitment. I love this city. I love this county. I love this region. I love my state. But all of us have a state of mind where we've had it in terms of some of the conditions that persist. And all of us need to be held to a higher level of accountability. Every single one of us. The reason I'm out here is I recognize my role in relationship to accountability, and that's why I'm back out on the streets, not just dialing it in from some fancy building with a dome up in Sacramento. All of us at all levels of government, and, dare I say, citizens of this region state. Don't give in to cynicism. Don't give in to all the negativity. Let's all do our part. Volunteer, restore a sense of spirit and pride. We cannot legislate spirit and pride. That does not come from a Senate bill or an Assembly bill. That comes from people doing more and doing better and recognizing our fate is tied to the fate of all of us. And so I'm here with pride, grateful of the remarkable partnership that has helped advance this project and the projects we're announcing throughout the state, and notably here in Oakland, with hope and expectation that we can create a movement and start focusing on what's right with this region, not just what's wrong, because what's right is in abundance as well, and it's in front of each and every one of us each and every day, and we want to build on that. So with that, we're here to answer any questions.
So, good morning, everybody. Governor Newsom, I'm Ansar Hassan with ABC 7 News. Help us understand, why does it take 12 months to get a place like this operational? Seems like it could be ready to go. Second question, there's been a lot of focus on Oakland recently with the CHP and whatnot. Is there some concerns with Oakland, things that aren't being done that you think the city's not able to handle, that you're out here? And then real quick, the recall against Mayor Tao and DA Price, any concerns?
I'm not getting into that. But Oakland and Bakersfield saw an increase in crime. We saw crime broadly decline all across the state of California. That's why I'm here. Want to address that. Want to own that. Got to respond to that. Can't deny that. It's real. And I've met with too many people that have been directly impacted, members of my staff directly impacted by it. Small businesses put everything on the line, lost it, losing confidence. There's high-profile businesses, one just down the block, leaving, doing everything we can, try to convince them to invest someplace else in Oakland, doing our best to address holistically and systemically all of these issues, not just situationally, though the situation, I think, requires a pattern interrupt, and that's what we did last week, and that's what we'll continue to do over the course of the next few weeks. 12 months is remarkable. Trust me. It's the right question. How are you doing it so fast? I agree with you. I mean, these things usually take years and years and years. And so this thing's being remodeled. It's been redone, kitchenette. So you're taking an old motel that doesn't have a kitchenette, that doesn't have a component that's permanent, that's more transactional in terms of those that come in and come out. And so this is about putting those kitchenettes, remodeling those units. It's about a lot of electrical upgrades, a lot of plumbing upgrades. But the fact that we have the streamlining legislation that's part of this Homekey model allows it to actually happen. And so I'm very excited about being back here in 11 months to celebrate this. Thanks.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for taking our questions. I'm Dustin Gardner from Politico. Speaking of the CHP in Oakland, I'm curious, how you would describe success with that deployment. What are you expecting, say, 6 months down the road? What realistically are you expecting?
Well, that's the right question. There's no substitute for localism. As a former mayor, CHP has limited scope and roles. CHP is not walking the beat in Oakland or Alameda. You got county sheriff's office, you've got Oakland Police Department, you've got other community builders that are out and about. So this was never conceived as a permanent strategy to address. It's supportive, and it's supposed to enliven, it's supposed to encourage, it's supposed to distill a sense of well-being. And we did a little of this, by the way, in San Francisco, and I can't tell you, I was with a number of beat officers when I was walking there in Apex, said, and I was really touched by this, that thank you for doing it because you have our backs. They felt like we had their back. There are a lot of CHP members that are from Oakland that said, thank you for coming back to my town. I'm glad I'm here. And so it's about partnership, and it's about letting folks know we're watching and we care. So that's what we want to jumpstart. The arrests are important. I get that because there needs to be accountability. We took guns off the street. We took meth off the street. You had guys running around that were drunk and high that shouldn't have been on there, that could put kids at risk in the streets and sidewalks. And we arrested the guy that was all over the news. I hope you all are running like you were those streaming of that chaos in that store. I hope you're running the fact he was arrested, because people, I think, need to know that, because otherwise they feel like no one cares, no one's paying attention. So all that's important, but it's not to supplement, rather it's not to eliminate that local support and move in to substitute it. It's to help inspire more and to supplement it for the period of time.
One last question on this point. Is there an expiration date for how long the state can be here? How long do you anticipate?
I'm doing my best. Not surprisingly, success leaves some clues, and unsurprisingly, we were asked to now do more in many other parts of the state. With the remarkable support of the legislature, we just procured, or rather, procure is the wrong word, we got budget support to increase our academy classes for CHP, and we're hiring 1,000 new CHP officers. We have a lot of work to do to get our ranks back up, and we'll continue to do that. But we can't do everything for everybody all the time. And so I don't want to overpromise, but 70 went from the surge. We said it was going to be a surge, which is by definition not permanent. And then we have now 72 as a new baseline. And then we're going to be running these operations. And by the way, building partnership and capacity, working with the FBI, working with Homeland Security. In fact, maybe as I speak, I don't know what time they're having the press conference, but Attorney General Bonta is announcing a major operation, a retail theft operation that was connected to 21 counties, including Alameda County, where they found millions and millions of dollars in merchandise. These folks were reselling that merchandise on well-known platform, Amazon, among others. And this is all part and parcel of the work that we continue to do, the work we have been doing, the reason we've invested hundreds of millions of dollars into vertical prosecution and grants and investigations. The reason I want to help support the county here with some JAGs that do a remarkable job. These are our National Guards men and women that do a lot of intelligence gathering, that are deeply involved in a number of task forces that can offer insight, including linguistics work, which is actually very important. Some senior members of that and others that will help support some of the ongoing operations, build more partnerships with the state DOJ, which Attorney General Bonta will speak more to over the course of the next few weeks to help the county in terms of accountability as well. And so all these are just broader strategies, broader efforts, but you should expect other parts of the East Bay to benefit, is the long-winded answer to your question, not just Oakland, because a lot of this is all connected as well. Sorry.
Hi, Governor. Joe Garofoli, the San Francisco Chronicle. A lot of business owners here, restaurant owners, hundreds of them have signed a petition think you've seen it, and they've said, we want Oakland, we want a state of emergency declared in Oakland. What would the value of that be? I have a second question too about, unrelated. What do you think of Senator Wiener's recent bill to suspend CEQA in downtown San Francisco?
I don't know enough about the detail of that bill. I think tomorrow I get to be regaled with the last day of bill. Today, it's today actually.
Yes, yes.
So maybe that's a new one. There's going to be 2,000 bills. So don't get me asking their details about bills I haven't read yet.
What about the state of emergency? What value would that
I'm
provide?
operating under that basis. Look, there's a lot. I don't know if that's they're requesting some local state of emergency, some regional
local
state of emergency.
in Oakland.
I'll leave that to each city, each county, each jurisdiction has different definitions as it relates to a state of emergency. I think what often is sometimes it's just it's a statement of frustration. It's a statement of intent. It's sometimes it could have the form and substance of fog. Think through that statement. Sometimes it means something. For example, when there's a wildfire, a drought emergency, or there's a declaration of emergency as it relates to major disaster decks that we get from FEMA and others. It means something very different in that light. So in terms of the work we're doing in Oakland, I respect and need a petition to know we need to do some work to support local government here, and we're doing that. And I'm grateful for those small businessmen and women because we spend time with them, listen to them, and their concern is shared, and it's mine as well.
And with all this, the stuff that the state's doing here, do you feel that Oakland's in almost a state of receivership? With all this stuff.
I'll leave that. No, we're in a state of partnership and stewardship. Very different.
Hi there, Governor. Ethan Varian with the Bay Area News Group. You mentioned Project Homekey earlier. I'm sure you're aware Cal OES is concerned local governments could be out some $300 million in FEMA reimbursements for Project Homekey, or Homekey, forgive me.
Homekey.
Yeah, right. And this comes at a time, of course, local governments are staring down budget deficits this year. So
I'm
how are you going to make
to
sure
DC.
they get there?
Going
Okay.
to D.C.
All right.
Now you know my agenda next week.
What's that going to look like when you get
Well,
there?
I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know after. The agenda is pretty clear. I have a number of meetings. We're gonna try to fix this one quickly. So that's I can assure you, one of a number of our agenda items with the White House and the administration, not just FEMA.
Okay. Real quick, related to that, I've spoken to a lot of local officials who really appreciate Project Homekey for getting these sites up and running real quickly and at a lower cost, but there's of course some concern about ongoing funding. A dedicated source of ongoing funding to keep these sites running well into the future, which I'm sure is your goal. So how do we make sure that these sites stay running?
The state can't do everything for everybody, not just as relates to CHP, but generally. I was a former county supervisor. We made unprecedented investments in ongoing. It's what do you prioritize? What is the top issue in your city or community, and are you going to prioritize that for the long haul? We're jump starting with unprecedented investments, but we've got a lot of other priorities. So I want to see those partnerships. I want to see that baton carried in cities and counties supporting some of those efforts. What I have seen, I've seen some counties, not saying Alameda, I'm not, that have said, thank you, state of California, you need to do more, as they're doing less. That was never the intention, ever. And so I want to hold everybody accountable to addressing the issue that defines so much of people's frustration. And I'll be talking a little bit more about that in the State of the State in a few weeks, because that's something we're keeping an eye on. But Prop 1 perhaps is the best answer to that question. $1 billion ongoing, roughly, plus or minus, each year, dedicated to addressing housing and related underlying issues. So that's the game changer, and that should assuage some of that concern in a very meaningful and impactful way.
Thanks, Governor.
Hi, Governor. Chris Ancarlo with KCBS. And question has to do with public safety, but looking a little bit further in the East Bay. After the surge was announced and happened here in Oakland, there was some consternation amongst local leaders in Antioch that they had asked for a surge of CHP there. We have seen
They have my
requests
cell
from
phone.
Glazer.
Is the answer to your question. Yes, we're working with them to see what's possible. It's exactly what I was previewing before, and it's not just Antioch. Others Southern California, elsewhere across the state. We have joint operations with CHP all throughout the state of California. Obviously, we announced a few months ago, last year actually, well over a year ago, forgive me, in San Francisco, some of these operations. And so we've been doing a lot of work in partnership with communities all around the state, and there are many outstanding requests, and I acknowledge that, and we're doing what we can to accommodate but still do the baseline work that needs to be done at CHP to keep you safe out there with their day job out in the freeways and all the major thoroughfares in the state.
What I've heard from them is that close to half their police force is obviously not working right now because of the racist police text message scandal.
I may come back as a candidate for mayor of some of these communities. I know. Hey, I look, that's got to be addressed, doesn't it? They've got to address why is that the case. It's a big issue. Now, they had some unique, specific issues you've talked a lot about, and it's been written a lot about. And so they, in particular, have more challenges to get that force back up. But you're seeing that all across the country, not just all across this state. But I recognize how acute it is there. And that's why I say I'm sensitive to their request, and just know we are actively working with them to address their concerns. And I may have previewed, now I could be more explicit, that these operations will have a more regional through line. And Antioch, imagine, would be among those that will benefit from it.
Governor Valina Jones with NBC Bay Area. We've talked a lot about public safety and the CHP, you bringing in the CHP here to Oakland and throughout Alameda County. A lot of people have praised those efforts, but there has been criticism as well. How would you respond to people's criticism who says this isn't really addressing the root cause and only adding to mass incarceration?
Well, I want to point them to the unprecedented, historic investments into addressing the issues of ignorance, poverty, and disease that have been advanced by the senator and this administration. I don't know where I could begin at the beginning. I could talk about the unprecedented work we're doing as it relates to prenatal care, the unprecedented investments into this county as it relates to creating a brand new grade, pre-K for all, to deal with the underlying issues, to begin at the beginning, to address the anxiety, the work we're doing to create a workforce and ongoing work we have to do to make sure they're appropriately paid, to address unprecedented investments in child care. I could point to the unprecedented investments in after school for all and summer school for all, the community school model, the fact that every kindergartner in the state of California 2 years ago, 3.4 million of them, got close to $2 billion in child savings accounts. Talk about beginning at the beginning. Free community college, unprecedented homeless investments, housing investments, mental health investments, investments in infrastructure at the next level. I can continue. So you get the thrust. And by the way, what we did is we overlaid that, and I hope those same folks will take a look. And we've actually mapped out those specific investments so Alameda and Oakland know exactly how they benefited from the state's renewed investments in addressing these larger systemic issues.
Sure. And one more question when it comes to safety, but specifically when we talk about Homekey, is there safety measures being taken to ensure the safety of these locations, specifically in areas like the Hagenberger corridor, which we've already talked about has seen needed investments?
Well, you may see me there next. Well aware. Yes, all of these component parts have a service component and contracts that have a safety component and consideration. Some more robust than others, depending on the community needs. I think the supervisor was wise to immediately point out his anxiety and concern around that and his leadership in that space. And since I've talked so much Perhaps the supervisor could talk about that in relation to his. Oh, yeah, and the council. Thank you.
Just this week on Wednesday, we had a press event with Mayor Jesse Arguin around a public safety corridor that is stretched from Contra Costa County down to Santa Clara County because of the concentration of, lawlessness here, not just in Oakland, but elsewhere. And this is the councilperson's district, and Treva was heading that up, so maybe Treva could speak a bit more to that. But we are looking at that for sure, for certain. But it's got to be a collective effort.
Yeah, we're leveraging every resource that we can with our city, our county, our state, and our federal partners, particularly in this area. You've heard the story, you've shared the story, and that regional public safety task force that we launched publicly this week is going to expand on everything that we've been building on behind the scenes and bringing that work and that funding and that investment, that shared strategy, those shared technology tools, that real-time regional crime operation strategy to make sure that this area has that increased investment and intentional support and ongoing sustained support, as you've heard from our governor.
And real quickly, we have Measure W that the voters passed in Alameda County that we're being challenged on, but that we're raising over $150 million annually. It's in escrow. We probably have close to $400 million in that account. Once we win that lawsuit, we can use that resources for services for marginal populations. Also, I was mentioning I'm on the Bay Area Housing Finance Authority for the region. We're looking to put a $10 to $20 billion bond on the ballot in November that will also complement Prop 1, and that's unprecedented as well. So we're looking at all the things you're raising questions about. Back to the governor.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Listening.
Thank you, Governor. Mike Lundeen with Fox National. I want to change topics and get your reaction on national politics. The special counsel report that came out last week for President Biden, it had, quote, he is a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. What do you think of this? And then also for the 2024 election, does 81-year-old President Biden have a better chance of beating Donald Trump than you? And do you disagree with 86% of Americans who think he's too old to run?
Well, I appreciate the question and the framing, but I also appreciate my president and his performance. I'm a little old-fashioned. I care about results. I care about governing. I care about people that deliver, and I care about people's record, and what President Biden has accomplished in just 3 years is the most significant list of accomplishments in my lifetime. And I don't say that lightly. I say that knowingly, because we're quite literally here as a beneficiary of those accomplishments. The Homekey motto was inspired by the partnerships that we form with this administration. The remarkable investments in the infrastructure bill, the remarkable investments, CHIPS and Science Act, the remarkable and unprecedented investments across a spectrum, including Safer Communities Act and new investments in mental health and gun safety, the work he's done to eliminate debt for so many that are burdened with student loans. I can go on and on. The work he's done in terms of his alliance management. NATO is stronger and it's larger than it's been. Russia's weaker than they've ever been. The work he did as it relates to strengthening our alliances, including perhaps some of the most consequential as it relates to the partnerships now and the new strategic alliances with Japan and South Korea in relationship to what's going on around the globe. So I'm very proud of this president, and I'm very enthusiastic to be out there on the campaign trail for him. When asked, the answer is yes. And I say that enthusiastically, regardless of time of life. And I am very, very proud to be a Democrat and proud to support his reelection.
And, just that first part, what's your reaction to the special counsel report?
I haven't read the special counsel report in detail. I know the president's reaction to it. It's been quite pointed and vocal in terms of expressing his own opinion about it, but I haven't taken the time to read it. I spent a little more time reviewing the contract on the 104 units here for this new Homekey program.
Hi, Governor. This is reporter Flora from Singtel Daily. So I want to ask you, you just been to China. How you comment that trip, and what you can take from the trip to the local California Asian community, especially now it's the Chinese Lunar New Year. And in your New Year, what anything you want to share to the community?
Well, just all best wishes and prosperity, and I was honored to be back in China. It's not lost on me, shouldn't be lost on anybody, where we are, the greater Bay Area. I come from San Francisco, the first and largest Chinatown in the United States. We're a gateway to Asia. Our history, proud past, has been very connected to the contributions of people throughout Asia, but particularly China. We were the first to establish a relationship with China in the United States, San Francisco and Shanghai. I was there the 25th anniversary of the Shanghai Sister City with then Senator Dianne Feinstein, celebrating our commonality, our shared fate and future, and had the opportunity to express not only that to President Xi, among others, in my visit to China, but also to recognize we have strategic red lines that we also have to manage as it relates to our relationship going forward. But one thing I think is important for all of us to manage, and that's to recognize that we're all in this together. I said it to the President, I've said it to others, divorce is not an option. And one of the points of pride, as always, being a San Franciscan at birth, being a Californian, being governor of the state, is I represent the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. And at our best, we're living and prospering together across every conceivable difference. And what I hate more than anything else is hate. And to see the anti-Asian hate we experienced over the course of the last number of years is disgraceful, and it needs to be called out. And so I was also proud to try to reinvigorate the people-to-people relationships between our two countries. And I think in the spirit of the new year, it's a spirit of renewal and rebirth and reinvigoration as it relates to our sub-national role as the 5th largest economy in the world, California, in relationship to building stronger relations around the globe, but particularly in mainland China. So Happy New Year. Zuk Daga, San Tai Ging Hong, Gong Fei, Hong Hei, Choi. And that concludes today's press conference. Thank you very much. Thanks. I think we need to strengthen our zero retail theft laws. I put a package in front of the legislature. I think the issues around clarifying the intent, particularly as it relates to stacking of misdemeanors, as it relates to being able to prosecute for crimes that are not witnessed, but clearly crimes that have occurred, are important reforms, and we are seeking those reforms in partnership with the legislature. I was pleased the Speaker yesterday announced his support of a package of reforms, so we're working closely with them. As it relates to the issue of thresholds, California has the 10th toughest felony thresholds in the United States of America. I'll repeat that. California has the 10th toughest felony thresholds in the United States of America. 2 times tougher than states like Texas, tougher than states like Alabama, a lot of these other red states. So the felony threshold is a separate issue, which so often is conflated with 47. But these smash and grab, organized retail theft operations, that's completely separate and independent from Proposition 47.